The crew denies access to a veteran old man on the plane without knowing that the undercover owner observed Harold Bennett. He advanced with difficulty towards the boarding door, his cane gently hitting the polished airport floor. His worn military jacket hung comfortably over his thin figure, the patches scarred for years of use and memories. Under his cap, Kano hairlocks framed his wrinkled face, and his eyes, although tired, retained a brightness of silent pride. For him, fly too. Saddle was not much. The trip was to attend a ceremony in honor of its former military unit. Harold didn't like the uproar, but thought it was important to appear. After all, there were not many of his comrades to attend. The boarding door agent, a young woman with an identification plate that Samantha said, looked at Harold as he handed him his boarding pass. His smile hesitated for a moment before he forced her again. "Lord," she said in educated but firm voice, "this ticket is not. It is valid for this flight." Harold frowned. "That can't be. I bought it a month ago." 122A, Samantha's eyes shone impatiently. On one side, while people passed with him to the access tunnel, man of 35 years old relied on a nearby pillar observing the interaction. Dressed in a simple black hoodie and jeans, Andrew Taylor didn't seem much, just another passenger waiting for his flight. But Andrew was not just another traveler. He was the owner of Taylor Aviation, the airline that Harold tried to board. Andrew often flew incognito, mixing with his passengers to observe how his staff treated them. Andrew's sharp eyes broke out while watching. Samantha exchanged a few words in a low voice with a coworker. He captured fragments of the conversation. "It seems that it is oversized. It will probably put together the scene. We should not let it up. It will be easier." Andrew's jaw was tensed. It wasn't one of those who took precipitated conclusions, but something in the way they spoke did not feel good. He returned his attention to Harold, who waited patiently aside, his cane trembling slightly under the weight of his grip. 5 minutes passed. Then 10, then 15. Other passengers approached, some throwing sympathy looks at Harold, while others barely noticed it. Samantha returned, his carefully neutral expression. "Sorry, Mr. Bennett, but it seems that there is no seat for you on this flight," Harold said. "What does it mean that there is no seat? I paid my ticket. I have a place I need to go." "I understand, sir, but the flight is oversized and we cannot accommodate it." Andrew's ears stoked. He approached more, pretending to review his cane telephone while listening to Hidden. Samantha's tone had changed. He was no longer educated, but to supply. "As if I wanted Harold to give up and leave." Harold straightened his position, his firm, constant voice. "I am not asking for special treatment. I just want the seat I paid for." A mocking smile appeared on Samina's lips. "Lord, let's not do this difficult. I am sure we can change the ticket for a flight tomorrow." Andrew couldn't stand it anymore. He took a step forward, his voice quiet but authoritarian. "Excuse me," he said. "What seems to be the problem here?" Samantha appeared surprised, her professional mask slipping through a second fraction. "Oh, no problem. We are just helping this passenger." "Helping him by refusing his seat?" Andrew asked by raising an eyebrow. Harold looked at Andrew, surprised by the intervention of the stranger. "Okay, son, I will solve it." Andrew ignored Harold's attempt to minimize the situation. "It has a valid ticket, isn't it?" Samantha hesitated. "Yes, but then it should be allowed to address." Andrew's tone hardened. "The overall is an airline error, not him." Simona blushed. "I will see what I can do," he said, turning quickly to consult with another employee. Andrew turned to Harold, offering him a slight smile. "I'm Andrew. Do you care if I stay here to make sure they don't give him long?" Harold laughed between teeth. "As you want. I thank you." While the minutes passed, Andrew filed an informal conversation with Harold. He learned that Harold had served in the army during the Korean War and what he was traveling to meet with an increasing number of his unit for an award ceremony. Finally, Samantha returned Agriad. "We have managed to find a seat, sir, but it is not an economic class. It is in the last row next to the bathroom." Harold's shoulders shrunk slightly, but nodded. "That will serve." However, Andrew was not satisfied. That is unacceptable. He paid for a specific seat. The smile, forced from Samantha, returned. It is the best we can do. Andrew's gaze worsened. I wanted to reveal who it was, but something stopped. There were more in this situation. While Harold headed towards the plane, Andrew followed him. It wasn't until Harold stumbled slightly, dropping his small canvas bag, which Andrew saw him. A metallic shine spilled from the bag, a polished metal, but very old. Andrew's heart spun when he bent down to help Harold. When he picked up the metal, his breathing was cut. The inscription in it was unmistakable. He had seen that metal before on the shelf of the chimney of his late grandfather, who often told stories of his time in the war. Could this man be Harold Bennett himself that his grandfather had spoken with such love? Andrew followed Harold down the hall. His grandfather, Richard Taylor, had often talked about his time in Korea. A name arose more than most. Harold Bennett, a man of unwavering integrity, a soldier that had saved lives. And now, here he was being treated as a nuisance. Harold took a seat in the narrow last row. The hostesses began their previous reviews. Andrew decided to wait. When the plane was leveled into the cruise altitude, Andrew rose and went coincidentally towards the rear. He pretended to stretch near the bathroom before leaning towards Harold. Do you care if I feel here for a while? Andrew asked, pointing the empty seat by his side. Harold opened his eyes. Clear. Young, as long as the smell does not bother you here, he joked. Andrew laughed between teeth. I endured worse. After a pause, he added, he has an impressive medal. Cruise for distinguished service, right? Harold's eyes shone surprised. Nodded. Today not many recognize it. My grandfather had won, Andrew said. He used to tell me stories about the men I served. He said they were the true heroes. Harold outlined a soft smile. So your grandfather had. Be one of them. Andrew paused. He talked a lot about someone called Harold Bennett. He said he would not be alive if it weren't for him. The old man's expression changed. Richard Taylor, Harold murmured. I remember it. Good soldier, a good man. Andrew's chest was oppressed. That was my grandfather. Harold turned to look at Andrew. You are Richard's grandson. Andrew nodded. He used to tell me about the time you saved his life. He said he owed everything. Harold's lips pressed. Your grandfather was more. Brave of what he himself believed. He kept our unit together when everything collapsed. We lost many good men there. Andrew asked, why did you never tell me what you did? Harold laughed between teeth. Men like your grandfather did not stop in the past. In addition, what I did was only part of the work. Andrew shook his head. Not anyone would have done it. Harold shrugged. Maybe. His conversation was interrupted by Samantha, who approached with a tense smile. Lord, I need. He returned to his seat, he told Andrew. Andrew looked at her. I'm fine here, thank you. Samantha's jaw was tensed. He goes against the policy to block the hall. Harold Caraspio. Okay, son. Do not cause problems on my own. Andrew repressed a replica and got up. I will return, he told Harold. Veterans, the irony did not escape. A plan formed in your mind. When the plane began its descent, Andrew returned to Harold's seat. When we terrify, can I invite you a cup of coffee? Is there anything I want to share with you? Harold raised an eyebrow but nodded. Okay, son. I guess I have time. When the plane touched Earth, Andrew remained near Harold, swearing that he would obtain the respect he deserved. They found a quiet corner in the cafeteria. Andrew put a smoking cup in front of Harold. You serious about the plane? I want to hear more about its history. My grandfather talked about you often, but I never really understood how much he did for him. Harold looked up. You, grandparent, or he was a good man? Andrew shook his head. You saved your life, isn't it? Harold sighed. We save our lives there. This is how it works in the war. Andrew frowned. But there is more, right? He always spoke of a particular day. Harold's hand trembled. He drank a long sip. There was such a day. It was the worst day of my life. After a long pause, he continued. It was at the beginning of 1951. We were deep in the enemy territory, isolated. The cold was unbearable. Our unit had been entrusted to maintain a critical position, an impossible mission. Andrew listened carefully. Richard and I were part of a small squad sent to explore. We fell into an ambush. Half did not succeed. Richard was injured in his leg, and we were trapped. Harold paused. Had an option. Leave it behind or risk my skin. I didn't think about it. I just acted. I grabbed it and dragged it through enemy fire. For some miracle, we managed to return. Andrew's chest was oppressed, and this is how the cross won by distinguished service. Harold shook his head. Not seeing that came later. Saving Richard was just the beginning. The real fight came when the enemy launched a total assault. They surpassed us in number 10 to A. I took command when our lieutenant lost his life. We kept the line for hours, enough time for reinforcements to arrive. That is why they gave me the medal, not for saving Richard, but for defending that hill. Andrew's throat was squeezed. You saved lives, including my grandfather's. Harold's gaze hardened. I did what I had to do, but I have taken the weight of that day since then. The men we lost. The medals do not erase any of that. Andrew was silent. I think my grandfather understood that. He always said that the bravest men are the ones. They carry the heaviest loads. He sketched a slight smile. Richard always had ease of word. Andrew hesitated. There is something I need to tell you. It wasn't just a passenger on that flight. I am the owner of Taylor Aviation. Harold's eyes opened slightly. I started the airline to honor my grandfather's memory. He taught me about integrity, and today I failed him. My staff failed him. Harold made a gesture. Son, you don't need to apologize for them. Andrew leaned down. No, I need to apologize. The way in which he was treated was unacceptable. You deserve something better, and make sure that this never happens again. Harold studied Andrew, then nodded. Your grandfather would be proud of you. The conversation changed, lightening while Harold shared more stories. The hours passed. When Harold looked at the clock, he frowned. I have entertained you too much time. He has not entertained me at all, but there is one more thing I want to do. Andrew smiled. Wait here. Minutes later, he returned with a Taylor representative. Aviation, the woman gave Harold an envelope. Andrew put his hand on Harold's shoulder. That is a life pass for unlimited flights. In the first class. It's the least I can do. Harold's eyes opened. He seemed to stay speechless. Then River. You don't have to do that, son. I know, but I want to do it. Consider it a small way of paying what he did for my grandfather and for this country. Harold looked at the envelope, then to Andrew. Thanks, said your drowning voice. Andrew smiled. Thank you. Harold, for everything. While they set their hand, Andrew felt a clarity that he had not experienced in years. They left the cafeteria. While walking, Andrew noticed how people seemed to ignore Harold, a man who had risked his life, treated as invisible. Andrew's jaw was tensed. Harold, Andrew said, I know that I probably don't want to think about the past, but he has ever talked about his public experiences, let out a giggle. Not much, son. Most do not want to hear old stories. Of war. Andrew frowned. I think he is wrong. Its history matters. People need to listen to it. If they understood the sacrifices, they would deal with the respect it deserves. Harold shrugged. Maybe, but respect is not something that is required. You win. Andrew stopped. You have earned it 100 times. It's not just about you, but every veteran. This is a reminder of what we owe. Harold bowed his head. You are serious about this, right? Andrew nodded. Totally seriously, and me. I will ensure that this airline becomes a leader to honor veterans. You have given me inspiration. That night, Andrew wrote a proposal, the Honor Flight Initiative. Small changes, priority shipping, courtesy promotions, personalized recognition, but wanted more. Association with veterans organizations, Flight S with a discount for military, events, and most important families, that stories such as Harold's, creating a platform for it. I thought it would inspire a culture of respect. A week later, Andrew invited Harold to the airport for a special meeting. Harold seemed skeptical. "What is all this about?" he asked, looking at the group in the conference room. Andrew smiled. "Harold, this is my managerial staff." He wanted to know him and listen to his story. Harold moved uncomfortable. "I am not sure to be the right person." Andrew put a hand on his shoulder. "You are. Trust me." Harold hesitated, then nodded. He sat down and started talking. His firm voice, simple words, but powerful. He talked about camaraderie, sacrifices, lost men, the pride of serving, and a fault for those who did not return. When Harold ended, there was no dry eye. Executives were moved. Then Andrew took Harold aside. "Today, it caused a great impact. I think he is beginning to see how much his story matters." Harold smiled slightly. "Maybe you're right, son." He felt good to speak as if doing something for those who did not return. "I was doing it, and this is just the beginning." Andrew gave him a folder with the details of the Honor Flight Initiative. Harold's eyes opened. "You are really going to do all this?" Andrew nodded. "Thank you. I want to make sure that no veteran feels like you. This program is my way of honoring it." Harold's hand trembled. "Thanks, Andrew. This means more than I can say." Andrew smiled. He only knows that his story made the difference. A week later, the airline celebrated an event to launch the Honor Flight Initiative. Samantha received the invitation. Assuming it was a training, he entered and saw Harold Bennett. The memories of her interaction hit her. The guilt settled. He took a seat back. In front was Andrew. He recognized him only as another passenger. Andrew welcomed. "We are here to honor someone whose history has inspired a real change," he introduced Harold. "This is Mr. Harold Bennett, a war veteran with decoration." Harold got up, offering an assent. Samantha's cheeks burned. "Well, Harold..." He shared a brief story. Samantha's stomach stirred. "I wanted to disappear." When Harold ended, Andrew returned to the front. The history of the Lord. Benet highlights the sacrifices, but also how easy it is to ignore those who have given so much, something that we cannot allow. His gaze toured the room, stopping in Samantha. "Sometimes our mistakes come from not knowing assumptions or forgetting the responsibility of treating each passenger with dignity." Samantha cut her breath. "He talked about her." Andrew continued. "Last week, one of our staff members failed. They dismissed the Lord. Benet. That moment was a failure of our values." Samantha's heart was beating hard. Andrew walked towards her. "Samantha, remember Mr. Benet?" His face paled. "Yes," he whispered. Andrew nodded. "And it reminds me of me." Samantha blinked. "You were on the flight, right?" "I was, but it wasn't just another passenger. I'm Andrew Taylor. I am the owner of this airline." Total silence. Samantha's mouth opened. The understanding hit her. Andrew continued. "You didn't know who I was, but I didn't know who Mr. Bennett was either, and that is the problem. He made his positions and treated him as if he were less important." Samantha's voice shook. "Senior Taylor, I wanted..." Andrew raised a hand. "The intention does not matter, Samantha. The actions do. It was disrespectful. A lost opportunity." Samantha's eyes filled with tears. "Very sorry. I didn't know." "Exactly, that's why we are here today. Not to embarrass it, but to ensure that this never happens again. It is every veteran, each passenger." He turned to Harold. "Mr. Bennett, is there anything you would like to say?" Harold looked at Samuna. "We all make mistakes, young girl. What matters is what you do later. I don't need an apology. I need to know what you have learned." Samantha nodded. Tears ran. I have done it. I promise I will do it better. Andrew went to the room. In the future, our staff will receive training. This is a commitment to our values. At the end, Samantha. He approached Harold. Mr. Bennett, I can't undo what I did, but his story has changed me. Thank you. Harold smiled warmly. It is never too late to learn. I think you will do it very well. Samantha came out with a renewed sense of purpose. 2 months later, the Honor Flight Initiative was implemented. The veterans received priority shipping, promotions, and recognition. The program won ATE media, but Andrew knew that the most important thing was yet to come. Today, Taylor Aviation would unveil a plane dedicated to Harold Bennett. Andrew kept the details secret. Harold came to hangar. Andrew greeted him. Good to see it, Harold. Likewise, son. But you didn't tell me what this uproar is about. Andrew laughed. You will see it soon. The hangar was full. Samantha was in front, transformed, a defender of the initiative. Andrew took the stage in front of a large covered plane. Good afternoon. Today is a special day. We celebrate the success of the initiative and the people who made it possible. He pointed to Harold. Mr. Harold Bennett is one of those people. His courage, humility, and history inspired us, but the words are not enough. He indicated that the roof was removed. The crowd drowned a shout, a gleaming plane painted with a mural of a soldier greeting an American flag. The tail was named Harold Bennett, a courage legacy. Harold's eyes opened. Your mouth, too. He grabbed his cane, hands trembling. Applause. Andrew knelt with Harold. This plane is dedicated to you and every veteran. Every time you take off your legacy. Harold blinked. I don't know what to say. He doesn't have to say anything. This is for you. Samantha approached. Mr. Bennett, thanks for your service, your patience, and for giving me the opportunity to grow. Harold smiled at him. You have done it well, young girl. Keep it up. At the end of the ceremony, Harold stayed with Andrew in front of the plane, posing for photos. He stayed humble, diverting praise towards his comrades. When the crowd dispersed, Harold turned to Andrew. You didn't have to do all this. I had to do it. Because it's not just about you, Harold. It is about ensuring that each veteran is remembered. You have inspired something bigger. Harold nodded, fogged eyes. So I'm glad I could help. While Harold approached the plane for his inaugural flight, a symbolic trip, Andrew watched with pride. The airline had become spirit. While the engines roared, Harold looked out the window. His name in the tail brought him a smile. For the first time in a long time, he felt truly seen. Andrew turned to Samantha. This is just the beginning. She nodded. Thanks to you and Mr. Bainey, it is a beginning of which we can all be proud. The plane ascended carrying a legacy of courage, respect, and change. Harold Bennett's name would rise. A reminder that each life has a story that is worth honoring, and each story can inspire a world of difference.